still.
Yeah.
They still work. So.
They sure do. We're live. Ready?
Yay!
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 Okay, let's do this. Yay!
Woo!
Or we could screw up the thing. Yay!
Right.
Let me try that again. That's the one I want.
Do your impression of Mr. Poopy Butthole.
Ooh-wee. Ooh-wee. Let's try this one.
Okay.
That's the right one.
Welcome to Hanging from the Balcony. This is a movie podcast,
Tis.
I think.
Sometimes.
Yes.
Mostly. Although we do talk about other things on occasion.
Sometimes.
Things do come up.
But if
Like-
you tuned in, like what?
Like when you get crazy about comic stuff.
I
and
do. I
Hey,
get it.
superhero
I would
stuff.
say this is a movie podcast 86.2% of the time at
That's
least.
pretty good.
Yeah, it leaves
Correct.
some time and some
Yeah.
opportunities to
So
do
if
other
you
things.
want to talk movies, this is a good place to check it out. So what we're going to do tonight is talk about some movies we've been seeing, and then we're going to talk about our homework.
Yes.
We just, Nathan. Well, let me tell you who everyone is.
Oh yeah,
What?
let's do.
Okay, I'm Lewis.
That's you.
The
Good
professor.
job.
Yeah. Over here we have Nathan, the producer.
Hello?
And over here we have Kimberly, the hammer.
Hi.
The Hammer.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so anyway, we're going to talk about some movies today.
They
Let's
call
do
her
that.
the Jackhammer. I don't know why.
Is that what they call you?
Sure.
No.
Today I'm a femme fatale.
Yay!
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about what movies we've seen recently.
Let's do it.
Did you go to the theater at all?
I went to the theater 2 whole times since the last time you saw me. I've been extremely busy working 6 days a week at the new job that's finally back in session, and I'm having a good time doing so, and I'm very happy to be back to work. That was a very dark summer. I don't think I've ever experienced depression before, and I don't think it was full-blown, I got freaking clinical depression or anything, but I was actually depressed over my situation. Never experienced it before. It was a completely new thing for me, and I've decided I did not like that, so...
It's actually quite common when you stay at home and you don't have that kind of thing that's driving you to get really depressed.
Oh,
It's
God.
very common.
It took all of 6 days, I think, for it to set in. It didn't take long at all.
When you hear about people like, oh yeah, they just stay at home all day, they're lazy and they're living off welfare and they're just living the sweet life.
Yep.
If you're stuck at home, you're not living the sweet life.
Miserable.
It's just miserable.
It was.
People want to have something to do.
Yeah.
They need
That-
purpose.
Purpose.
And I would,
It's
I would
satisfactory.
literally get up and I would have nothing on the docket. I would try to find anything and everything I could do to put something together that day or do something productive. And there was a couple of days that I guess we can turn that down. That's done. That's done. So there's literally days that would go by and I was like, there's nothing for me to do today. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to stay in bed till 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And
Really?
the longer I would stay in the bed, the more I would feel like shit and the more I couldn't convince myself to get out of bed. It was the worst loop I've ever found myself in. It sucked. Don't do it if you can at all avoid it.
That does sound kind of like depression. Though.
Not
really does.
yeah, not the best.
Well, okay, on that note.
That's so uplifting, isn't it?
But things have gotten better.
So much better.
let's
I'm
talk
so
about
busy.
What you've
I
seen.
went to the movie and saw The Martian.
Oh, The Martian.
Yes.
Yeah.
I nerded out so much on this movie. I
Yeah.
loved it. I love space. I love all of that stuff. It was actually this is going to be a space themed thing for me. I watched 2 space movies this week.
Oh, yeah.
I watched The Martian with Matt Damon. He got himself accidentally left behind when the team quickly left Mars in a rush because of a big time sandstorm that was about to knock their ship over. They had to leave him behind. They thought he was dead. He was left for dead. He did not blame them when he came back to life and found that he was left behind. He did not blame them at all. I would have felt so terrible if I was on either end of that, receiving end of that. And he ends up cultivating Mars and surviving for 4 years on it.
And you know what?
Wow.
I'm going to make a connection.
Yes.
You were just talking about your summer.
Yes.
And we were just talking about purpose. I think what makes The Martian so compelling is he's alone.
Yes.
And he knows he's going to be alone for another 800 days or souls
Mhm.
because it takes that long for people to get back to Earth, for them to get the ship and to come back to get him.
Yes.
And he doesn't have enough food and
Yes.
air and water to survive.
So his entire trip was 4 years. He wasn't stranded for 4 years, correct? Because he was already there for like a year and a half when they left.
No, they
right?
were only there for like a month. They
Oh,
thought
okay.
he would be there for 4 years, but if it's a spoiler, but
Sure.
they get him before that because he wouldn't have made it.
Okay, that's right.
That's why they have all the.
So they
extra-
thought he was going to make it, or they thought he was going to be there for 4 years. That's what I'm getting at.
Right.
Okay, so
because of his purpose, because
Yes.
of his goal, he
Yes.
has to just survive. And it's not just, I want to make it through today. I want to make it through all
and
the
not
days.
die.
And then when things happen and the plans change, I
Mhm.
have to change my course. And
Mhm.
so that's really what gives him the drive to get up. Because the first couple of days, he's really, really depressed. He's, as you would be if
ready-
you left
yep.
on Mars for dead.
Ready to give up. Yeah.
Right?
And I think my
Yeah.
favorite quote of the whole movie was, "I'm gonna have to science the shit out of this."
Yeah, it's straight from the book.
Oh, it's so
Straight
good.
from
I
the
was
book.
waiting for the I'm
And you know-
fucked. But
Yeah, well...
close. But
He
since it
says
was
that.
PG-13, so
He
he only
did
got
say
the
that.
one.
He says it once.
He
Yeah.
doesn't say, I'm fucking...
He just goes,
He just says,
"Fuck!" Yeah,
Yes.
it was great.
Yeah.
It was perfect use
Yeah.
for his one F. It was great. And they actually were really smart. Some of the movies are starting to get really smart where they'll actually start to say their F
Yeah.
and they'll either get cut off or so you know that that's what they were about to say, but they don't actually say it. I think it's pretty smart.
Or we
Still getting
hear
away with
people
more
say,
one F.
Now, Mark Watney, you know that this is being broadcast to the entire world. And he's like,
Oh,
is
really?
It? Is it really? And then we know he's saying a lot of stuff, and we know he's typing it, but we don't see it.
Yep.
So I think that actually is really
Very clever.
Yeah,
Because you
very
know
clever.
that he'd put a whole bunch of expletives right across
Yeah.
that screen for the whole world to see.
Fair
So
enough.
you liked The Martian?
Oh my God, I could not stop drooling over that movie. I talked about it the whole way home. I bent Amy's ear the whole way. And Amy is terrified of space. She thinks her literal word is when anything space related comes up, she'll go, "Ew, gross." Because it freaks her out so much that it grosses her out. So she thinks about space stuff. She's like, "Ew, gross." But she was completely engaged into it 100%. She thought it was fascinating. And I think mostly because at the end of the day, it is about space, but it's still an awesome survivor story.
Well, it's very optimistic.
Very much so. Yeah.
And I feel
You don't lose hope even once.
Well,
you
and
get worried.
bad things happen, but
yeah.
they even say it at the very end. You know, there's problems. Buckle down, do the math, solve the problem.
And figure it out.
Math
Yep.
and science can solve everything.
Yeah, looks like it.
Why not share that message with the world?
I like it. I think that message,
Yeah,
like across all types of things, should be shared with the world.
absolutely.
I think it was a fantastic movie. Sorry for those couple of spoilers we did throw out on that one, but it is a movie show, and well,
The book
too bad.
was wonderful.
I cannot wait to find a Sunday where I can sit down and read that for a couple of Sundays and put that into my head.
Read it
You probably will start and you'll not want to finish. So
Yeah.
good luck stopping.
It was one of the fastest books I've
Yeah.
read all year.
If the movie was anything like the book, I would love to see that book. It was
so
good.
Very close.
So
they did
good.
some changes at the end for various reasons that we know are cinematic.
Kind of
reasons.
Hollywood
Yeah.
reasons.
Yeah, and Hollywood, both. I think both cinema
Yeah.
and
Was there a
Hollywood.
few things in the book that just wouldn't have worked out on screen very well? Maybe.
Maybe they wouldn't have been as visually interesting.
Yeah.
I think they
There's
might
a
have
lot
been,
of math in
but
the book.
and it's because you can get it across with the medium. of
Sure,
the book.
sure.
You don't have. I mean, it's hard to show it sometimes
Yeah.
whenever you're doing a visual.
Right. Well, and as far as like equations go, it would be like what 0.2% of the world that they even give a crap about what the real numbers are.
It's funny in the book. You're reading it, and he's like, "Okay, I have this many pounds of potatoes. Each potato, that gives me this many calories divided by this." And you see, you're just doing a math problem
Sure.
with them, and it's like a whole page. You get to the bottom, and he goes, "That gives me X number of days." I need this many to survive. Okay, how do I figure?
How do I make this? How do I fill the gaps?
And somehow it's very interesting.
Well, it's kind of like, for me, it was like watching one of my favorite space movies is Apollo 13. So it was like watching Apollo 13 updated. I zoned right into it. I would nerded out on all the space stuff. All the space stuff that I happen to know off the top of my head, all checked out for me. So there was no BS in there. It all seemed like pretty verifiable, checked out shit. They didn't try to bamboozle us with BS or anything.
It's mostly legit. There's little things.
A couple of things that were not possible.
I read somewhere that the atmosphere of Mars is so thin that you wouldn't get a dust storm that heavy.
Okay.
I mean, those dust storms were
They were very intense.
Horrific,
yeah.
Right?
And there's one enormous scene that's left out where there's another storm as he's traveling, and they didn't include that in the movie, I know, because of time.
Yeah. That was a very long movie, but the great thing about that one is they paced it right, and I did not notice that was a 2.5 hour movie.
Cool. That's fantastic.
Loved it. I loved that movie. So 5 stars for The Martian for me, for sure. I would love to own that when it comes out.
Well, for me, I was really shocked. I don't know why. Maybe I have to figure out why. But I wasn't expecting Matt Damon to be as impressive as he was. So after reading the book, I picked out my perfect person who I thought was the character Mark Watney, and it was not Matt Damon.
Who was it?
It was Cillian Murphy.
Ooh.
Jack Black?
Yes. You take the high road, I'll take the low.
Give me the doo-bop.
No, so I just was really affected by his solo performance. I thought he was the character when I didn't think he was going to be the character, which was funny. He's funny and goofy.
He was a little goofy. He had some really great comic relief things that I was not expecting.
But he also brought a heart to it. I know this is weird, but every time he was experiencing extreme emotion, which you do when you're in that kind of a situation, I felt it because he sold it. Yeah. And I just was not ready for it. One moment is towards the end when he's taking off in the strip down.
God, that was
and
amazing.
he
Emotional
starts to cry.
Sure.
And he's anticipating salvation, and it still hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
And there's this tension.
It might not happen.
Yeah, and it's real. It is so real, and he does such a good job. So I give him kudos.
Well, yeah, and
I didn't expect to.
And
so I thought that was good.
and just the plan of shooting him into, and then they were just going to shoot him straight up, and they were going to come across.
Yeah.
That whole thing, I was like, God, could you make it any more tense? I was freaking out, and then it didn't work, and they almost missed, and they barely. So cool! Such a great movie. 5 stars for me. Obviously, great space stuff for me. So
the creative team on this, obviously the book is great.
Sure.
And the screenplay, the adaptation was done by Drew Goddard, who wrote and directed Cabin in the Woods.
Oh, nice.
Cabin in the Woods. And he also was the guy who put together Daredevil, the Netflix show. Okay. Did the original book writer have anything to do with the screenplay at all? Well, I mean, it's very much the same story. Yeah. But, it's... No, Drew Goddard wrote it.
Any help in it?
And then the director was Ridley Scott,
which I did not know that until it started. I was like, this is a Ridley Scott movie? Holy shit!
Well, to me, it felt like a return to the good old days when he made Alien.
Yeah, it was good.
Blade Runner and these kind of movies that really made you feel like you were involved.
Yes.
You know?
At the end of the day, if you guys want to go and feel like you've been to Mars and stranded there and have come back, go watch this movie. Yeah. I felt like I was there. I felt like I experienced something that I didn't experience. I felt like I now have a memory of something that I didn't actually do, but I have a memory of doing it. It's weird.
Well, speaking of Matt Damon stranded on planets, why don't you tell us about this other movie you
watched? I know, right?
Right. So Matt Damon got stranded on Mars, and then I watched Interstellar and watched Matthew McConaughey get stuck in freaking time, literally. So Interstellar, I saw one preview for it, had to see it, didn't make it, saw nothing else about it, kind of forgot about its main points. I just remembered there's, a couple of key things, so I didn't really quite remember everything about it. Popped it in, watched it, and ended up watching it 2 times in a row because I watched it and liked it so much that I was like, Amy, you have to watch this. I know you hate space, but you have to watch this. And she thought it was pretty interesting too.
Cool.
Nice.
That movie, when he gets stuck when he gets stuck behind the freaking bookshelf.
Right.
That was the most unique way to put that situation I think I've ever come across. I never would have thought the visuals of that was interesting. Like just the thought of, or just saying the phrase, what does it look like to be stuck in time? Mm-hmm. That would be one way to visualize it.
Yeah.
It's very Nolan-esque, but I like it too.
I liked it a lot, yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember we were defenders of this movie. There's a lot of people who hated this movie, and inevitably their hatred came from that sequence.
Really?
Yeah.
I found it to be really fascinating.
Well, people got hung up on this idea of him being in the bookcase, and why would that happen? He got sucked into a black hole. Why isn't he dead? And they got hung up on it. And I felt like the movie addressed that. He says, people from our future who understand how this dimension works have constructed this space for me to be in so that I can do. Like, he explains that
there are beings that can understand a 5th or possibly a 6th dimension that we cannot.
And they put him there.
Yes.
So when people were like, I didn't like that ending. I mean, what's this bookcase stuff? I always was confused by that anger that people felt towards it.
I did not have that misconception at all.
And I felt like everything was explained within the movie.
All wrapped up.
Like whenever they were in the ship and she passed out in the window, there was like stuff that happened, and while it happened, you were like, I don't know what's going on. Later, you come back, you're like, that's what was going on.
Yeah,
it's good. It's cool.
And then seeing the things that happened in the opening sequences happening again, but seeing himself removed from the whole thing was just. It was really, really interesting. I thought it was very fascinating.
I like what the old guy's like, you've been gone 22 years.
Oh, Jesus. Wasn't that just, you're like, oh.
What? We were gone for 5 minutes.
His heart just drops. He's just like, oh, you came back.
Yeah.
22
years.
Alone. We talked about him being alone for a couple 100 days.
Could you imagine a freaking prequel with just how he survived those 22 years alone on a ship? That would be the worst. So Interstellar, if you haven't seen it already, I will spoil it for you and tell you that you have missed out if you haven't seen Interstellar yet.
Yeah.
Spoilers, it's good. I thought it was cool. I liked reading all of the Neil deGrasse Tyson stuff about him explaining how all of the concepts within the movie are based on reality. That is the current idea going right now.
With the one exception that he did say, you should never go near a black hole.
Right. If you see a black hole, go the other direction and do not go into it.
You kind of messed up already. But he says, stay away from black holes. They're pretty dangerous.
Other than that, though, it's really cool. Yeah, so I thought that was pretty funny, too. He's like, you won't see me going anywhere near one. So
God. If he doesn't want to, I trust him.
I honestly don't think...
You're not?
I don't think anything can survive. You can't make me, Lewis. You can't pay me all the dough in China.
Well,
no,
actually,
you go in that black hole.
I can't! I will not go in the black hole.
This is the one when we first met. You told me that you wanted to... The first couple of years we were together, you wanted to go live in space. You want to go do space things. You want to be on missions and stuff. And
I said if there was an opportunity to go live on Mars, I'd do it.
Absolutely, I would go.
Until I saw or read The Martian. And then I was like, that sounds really difficult.
Yeah, maybe not.
Are you changing your tune?
No, I changed it when I read it. Remember, I told you. It was the...
your aha moment?
The realization that I don't know the math well enough.
Oh, no.
Like, I really don't.
I can barely return people's change properly to them at work.
Well, he figures out how to, like, balance water production with oxygen and stuff to water everything.
My favorite.
And I'm like,
this is my favorite moment.
I just have to die.
Yeah.
Like, that would be me if I'm alone.
He's, like, talking to the camera, and he's like, well, how am I going to fix this problem? Mark Watney, botanist.
Yeah.
He's like, looks like I'm a botanist.
Yeah.
He was so funny.
Yes, he was his
like, that's great.
his demeanor was surprisingly good, even into like year 3 and whatnot. His demeanor was still pretty.
Yeah, he was haggard.
Chipper, still pretty chipper.
His face was sunken. His skin was.
Yes, he did look really awful.
He did look physically bad because that's what's gonna happen. You're not gonna have clean skin. And you're gonna have scabs and rashes, and you can't see a doctor.
Shit ton of bruises and.
Right. Why would you shave?
Take care of yourself. Yeah.
Oh.
And his, it didn't even cross my mind. As soon as they said it, I'm like, oh yeah, gross. No, 1.5 years with no shower.
He had some showers, but
could you imagine what that must have smelled like?
Especially when he was in the buggy.
Yes, exactly. Nothing. So I can actually get an idea possibly of what that might smell like just because of where I work now. There is an array of odors that happen all day long.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so when they mentioned that, I immediately thought of work. I'm like, oh, yeah, I might have an inkling of what he might smell like, actually. What'd you guys see, though?
So we saw The Martian as well. We also saw Black Mass, Johnny Depp, and Joel Edgerton.
It sounds like a movie.
Black Mass.
Johnny Depp, and Joel Edgerton, all 3 movies.
Yeah.
So Black Mass is a story about a guy named Whitey Bulger.
Real guy, right?
Real guy. He was a Boston gangster.
From what era are we talking about?
70s. Yeah.
So is it a period piece then?
Yeah.
Cool.
It's a period biopic.
Cool.
I mean, it's.
And apparently a lot of movies have been based on this guy because he was kind of a big crime guy.
Yeah.
There
are documentaries.
What was his name again?
Black Mass.
Yeah.
It's actually.
No, what was the guy's name again?
Whitey Bulger.
Whitey Bulger.
Yeah, there's a Netflix documentary streaming right now.
Yeah.
To go with it,
I think it's one of those documentaries where he talks to the camera. He's like, yeah, I murdered this guy and that guy. That kind of thing.
So some dark shit.
Yeah, dark shit. So Johnny Depp plays Whitey Bulger and does a good job.
Is he a little less Johnny Deppy?
Yes.
Excellent.
He's fine.
Yeah, he's less Johnny Depp. The problem is, and I might be stealing this from somebody else who I talked through the movie with and kind of agreed, you still know it's Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the problem.
Hard to undo that at this point.
It's so hard to see past him.
Mm-hmm.
So while he does a good job playing him, and we actually see photographs and videos of Whitey Bulger at the end during the credit sequence, it's just still Johnny Depp.
Mm.
So
that's too bad.
Yeah, his makeup is so that he looks like the real guy.
Yeah.
But then the downside is you spend the whole movie going, Johnny Depp's kind of
weird,
kind of a funny bald head.
Weird looking face going on here. That was an experience that I had with. Well, I mean, that's my experience with him every time. Honestly, I was trying to pin down one, but that's just been my experience. You cannot see past the person, and I've had other people that happen with recently too.
I heard somewhere that he's making like 4 more Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
Oh my god!
So, well, good. That's good.
You're kidding.
No, I'm really not.
Oh, I wish you were.
Yeah. So at least he's making a movie that's not horrendous.
Yeah.
So I feel bad for him. I feel like he went and sold out for his money.
Sure.
And now he's like, okay, now I've got the money. I can
feed my soul.
No, he's like, I've got the money. I can finally do the movies I want to do. And then he doesn't do a good job anymore because now he's kind of washed
it up.
The
movie is 2.5 hours long, and it feels like 3.
Mm-hmm. It is too long.
So poorly paced versus The Martian.
Well, you want it to end right about 1 hour and 50 minutes, and you realize, while you're watching it, this isn't close. This is not close to wrapping up. You just know it's not there. So it felt very long, which was hard to deal with. And I don't know. It was just. So, it was okay, but it wasn't great. I wouldn't recommend it.
I wouldn't watch it again.
You know the movie that he did transform himself for recently? Took a no credit for it.
Yeah, Walrus.
Yes.
Walrus Man.
That was fantastic.
That was perfect. He also...
That's what he needs to be doing.
That's what he needs to start doing.
Yeah,
and maybe do an uncredited thing again for a while and see.
Yes.
Or just pretend to be that person or how he did in Tusk.
He doesn't... Well, everyone...
Because he's credited as himself in Tusk, which I think is pretty cool.
The cast members on Black Mass said that he was like always in character.
Ooh, that would have been tough to deal with.
When he would be doing his character, they felt like he was really that guy. Like he's such a good actor. I don't know. The story is only interesting anyway. What's funny to me is that about half the story is about the FBI guy that Joel Edgerton plays, and that's not at all indicated in the trailers.
That's interesting. Yeah,
he's a very important character, and the reason is because they grew up together.
Ooh,
so
that
he's
would be
from
weird.
the same area where now Whitey Bulger essentially owns that area as the mob guy.
That would be like my best friend Josh and I being like at odds. That would be weird.
They weren't at odds. They were in cahoots.
Oh.
That's why it's so important. This FBI guy essentially facilitated all of this shit.
Oh, okay.
And Whitey Bulger just walked all over him, with the guy not really even knowing that he was allowing all of this to happen.
Yeah, it's really cool. That's the interesting part of the story is how the FBI guy gets in over his head.
Wow, that's really...
Well, and he's the one that got... Surprise, I'm sorry, this is like a spoiler, but it's just facts because it's history.
Sure.
The FBI guy, out of all the people that had punishments, had the highest punishment.
Got the worst.
He got the worst punishment. And all those freaking guys were murdering people.
Yeah.
Murdering them.
He was supposed to be upholding the law and preventing the murders.
And maybe that's why. Because they were like, we need to go arrest him. And he'd go, oh, no. He's not part of it. You know, we can let him slide. It's this other thing. Like, he was constantly covering for him.
Oof. Yikes. So.
Yeah,
that very deservingly
so. What were you doing down in Miami? Nothing?
Nothing?
All right. Yeah, Black Mass. And nothing really...
Black Pass.
It's a fine movie. It's not like it's a bad movie.
Sure.
But it's just not... It's no Martian.
It sounds hard to watch is what it sounds like. I saw the 2-minute trailer and that was hard enough to watch.
Yeah.
One thing I did notice just by watching the trailer for both, he seemed to have, Johnny Depp seemed to have transformed himself into that person in a similar way that Steve Carell transformed himself on Foxtrot or Foxcatcher or whatever.
Foxcatcher, right? Yeah, yeah. That's a really good.
And I only saw trailers for both those movies, and that's what I took away from those.
Yeah. I think Steve Carell is a little bit more successful in his role.
Yeah. Both movies are just kind of
hard to watch and
depressing.
Yeah.
Depressing.
Yeah.
And see.
Yeah.
The Martian had every reason to turn out depressing, and it wasn't. So I'm having a hard time watching things that are depressing or a downer, especially with the summer that I had.
I feel like there are times for a heavy movie, but it doesn't make your movie more artistic if everything's dark and dreary and heavy. Like an optimistic movie like The Martian is. Every
bit as, yes.
Artistic and wonderful. Well, we saw one other movie. Also a little depressing. No spoiler there.
It's not depressing. It's just...
upsetting, maybe?
It's upsetting. I think that's different. I'm like...
And what movie was it?
It was called Everest. And I did not expect to go and see this, really, or... enjoy it as much as I did. I kind of thought, I like Black Mass better. I was like looking forward to that one. And then when we went to see Everest, I knew the story. I read Into Thin Air by Jon Krakauer. I knew the story was about this hiking team that went up in 95 on Mount Everest, and they summited, but then some of the team didn't make it back.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, so it's based on a true story, and... boy, was it emotional.
Yeah.
It was emotional, and I think that's the upsetting part of it, because you get at the end and you go, well, gosh darn it, some of those people didn't make it, and they're real people.
And they shouldn't have,
they're portrayed by actors, but it felt so real, and it was very well done.
Interesting.
Who was our lead again?
Jason Clarke.
Jason Clarke.
He does a good job.
Good.
So it's a true story about people that actually made it all the way up and then didn't survive the trip back down?
Yes.
Right.
Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting. Huh.
So 95 was about the time when climbing Everest became commercialized, and it wasn't just for experts and small teams.
Okay.
And so there were a lot of teams on that day. He had a group of people. He would take about 10 people every year, and it was a 3-month journey where they'd start off, they'd get there, they'd have to acclimate on base camp for about a month. They'd have to do small treks just to, get used to
the low thin air.
Yeah. And then they would pick one date and they go, this is the date we're going to summit. They'd work back from it and they'd climb up and get to Camp 1, Camp 2, Camp 3, Camp 4, and then they wanted to summit on May 8th, something like that.
Can you summit in one day, or is it stations?
Well, you start out the night before, like 1 in the morning, and then you climb up because you have to start coming back down early afternoon.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, you get all the way up there.
And you probably get to look for 20 minutes maybe and gotta go.
If you're lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, you take a picture, you stick a flag in the ground, and you fucking get back
Get
down.
out of there. Yeah, because you gotta beat the sundown, right?
Sundown, but also in their case, a storm came up out of nowhere.
Oh,
and
no.
the storm really screwed them over.
Okay.
And then there were a lot of other small mistakes all along the way that we were privy to because we got to have the camera watching everybody and everything. And you realize that there were just small missteps constantly in their entire climb that led to their demise.
Interesting.
And that's so frustrating.
Yeah.
I just felt, I just was...
Well, but I think it's what real life is.
But it's good. It's good. It's very real.
So people think that when there's a disaster, it's because one thing went really wrong.
Right.
And disasters are almost always, because we read a book about this about 10 years ago.
Disasters.
Called The Survivalist Guide.
Yeah.
And what it is, it's about people who've survived disasters, whether they're airplane crashes or other things like that, ships sinking.
Yeah.
What they found is that when a disaster happens, it's not because of one big event. It's not just because an iceberg hit your ship.
Sure.
It's actually 10 little things that you should, the rule is to do A, but you do B. Because it's not that big a deal and it's not going to...
Or you disregard a small bit of information because you don't think it's relevant, but it's very relevant.
Yep.
Well, it becomes very relevant. And by the time you get to the 10th step, you've made so many bad choices.
You can't get back.
That now you are in a disaster space.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. So, for instance, everybody is familiar with the Titanic, which you just brought up. So they didn't just hit an iceberg, correct. I'm assuming. There's a couple of things before that probably led them to hit the iceberg.
Well, yeah, but that's what sunk them, was hitting the iceberg. Yeah. But then there was also something to do with the way that the ship was designed, something to do with the way that the way the doors closed on different sections.
Oh, okay.
There was things to do with just when they sailed and who was on watch, and I mean, there's all these other little steps.
And hubris, I'm sorry, but when you think you're unsinkable, you think you can do anything, and then you start making mistakes.
Yeah, if you think you're unsinkable, somebody that's watching for icebergs is probably
we just
learned this tonight. There's a statistic that shows that when your car is safer,
and when you feel like you're on safer roads, and you feel everything
like the weather's good, there's very little traffic, and your car is rated at a higher safety rating. Statistically, they show that people drive more recklessly.
It makes sense though, because
they get into bigger accidents. Yeah, it's kind of bananas, right?
Yeah, so that's the kind of stuff, and we see that in the movie, but it's so well performed. There's some fantastic actors, and one thing that was really interesting to me, because I don't know why I didn't know this. Obviously, I read Into Thin Air. It was a long time ago because he wrote the book.
20 years ago.
Yeah, wow. And it was one of the, if not the first book of his that I have read. He was on that trip with those people and freaking went to the top.
John Krakauer.
The journalist, the writer. And I was like, and then he came back down and he made it. He was obviously one of the survivors. He's written many books since then. But to see him in the movie, I was like, that's John Krakauer.
Wow.
They're like, hey, look, it's John Krakauer. And I'm like, what?
I was like, is that not John Krakauer?
I mean, it was obviously an actor playing him, but...
Well, yeah. But I really thought it worked well. And it worked well.
It's a good movie, actually. It's surprisingly good.
I say see it in the theater because you need the sound.
Kind of like Interstellar. I missed out on some of the goodness of Interstellar.
Feel like you're on that mountain and you can't hear. It's so deafening. The wind is just insane. So much so that when they cut to one of the wives that's back at home and she's getting a call on the telephone, the silence is almost deafening.
Interesting. Yeah.
You hear this and you're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea I was listening to all that sound. And you see the people at this camp. It's blinding snow and wind and you can't hear. And they're standing and they're banging on plates to like get them to see where their camp is, and their flashlights are going crazy, and you're just like, this is terrifying.
Yeah, why would anybody do this on purpose? Screw that. Pass. Or pass climbing Everest is what I mean.
I'm a pass on Everest.
Everest.
Not a chance.
I don't even base camp.
Yeah, I don't think I would make it. Yeah.
There is one character. He's really interesting. Everyone, once you get up to a certain level, everyone uses oxygen.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
So they're like, okay, I'm gonna.
Everybody, you need to.
Even to get acclimated, they're like, we'll just go around and they take their oxygen masks while they're getting acclimated. Just give them just a hint, just this.
It's because when you go up to a height where airplanes are, you can't breathe.
Right.
You're actively dying constantly until you get air. Crazy. So you have to have air.
But this one German guy, he won't do it.
He's like 50.
Yeah, he's like
He says
I acclimate to the weather. I just get to do it. I don't use oxygen. And they're like, why don't you use oxygen? You need oxygen. He goes, because when the oxygen runs out, you die if you are used to using oxygen.
Okay.
So when everything goes wrong, he's the guy that's going out and grabbing people and bringing them back.
A rescue party.
Wow,
it's pretty
crazy.
Cool. It was.
Did he survive?
Crazy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Survived.
Awesome.
So
I'd been pissed. I'd be like, well, fuck this movie.
He's not even a huge part of the show. He
was just impressive.
He was just cool. In the 3 scenes he's in,
but
you're
that's
like,
that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. In this film, you get to know all the characters, and you really feel like you're with this team. And he's someone that actually joins. There's like another party. Jake Gyllenhaal is running a different team.
Oh, I didn't even know he was in this.
Yeah,
Excellent.
He's in it.
Right on.
Big beard. And so he's got his team. And so Jason Clarke's team says, hey, we should partner up because working together, we can do a lot more. We've got to relay some ropes. We've got to put some ladders down. We've got to, work on this together. So they team up, and the German comes from Jake Gyllenhaal's team.
Yeah.
So it's you get to know these people, and it's good.
That's cool.
And who's the guy from across the way? The dashingly
Sam
guy.
Worthington?
His name is Guy, and he's played by Sam Worthington.
Do you remember him from Avatar?
Jake Sully.
Yeah. So we're looking at him like, hey, I haven't seen that guy in like 10 years. He's so handsome. He's so handsome.
He is a good-looking dude. Yeah. Good-looking dude.
Yeah.
But he just plays a guy that's in it for total 10 minutes maybe. He's got binoculars. He's from a different point of view from down the mountain. He's on the other one. He's on a mountain somewhere else. And he's like, okay, I can give you guys eyes on the mountain from where base camp can't see.
Oh,
he's like, I see guys up on the mountain. These guys, and you're just like, there's guys on the
They're still up there.
They're still up there. Ooh.
Wow, that's crazy.
It's good.
That sounds really worth the see.
It.
Okay, holy shit. I guess I got to see this.
I was surprised. I didn't want to. I guess I don't know why I don't want to like it, but it was. I liked it.
They did a really good job with it. Yeah.
A good dark horse for you guys?
Yeah, for me.
Nice.
It kind of was. It was one of the big surprises for the season.
It was emotional. I felt. Yeah.
Just from what you guys have described so far, it seems like it's a very emotional event, I guess.
It will get. You know how The Martian taught you about Mars?
Yes.
This will teach you about Mount Everest.
Okay.
It really will. I was like, oh, because they're even talking about like the saddle and so forth, Everest saddle, and I'm like, I don't know what that means. And then you see them on it, and you're like, oh, I can see that.
Okay.
And they're recreating real locations.
Sure.
Right towards the top. And it's interesting.
Interesting.
You
yeah.
want
That's
to
really
climb
cool.
Everest.
I do not. I actually have no desire of climbing.
Yeah, for sure.
That's cool.
I
like that.
All right. I think it's time for us to move on and talk about some homework.
Everest.
Was that one mine or yours?
Last week you assigned.
I did it, yeah.
Justice
my left foot. Or my foot. I want to say left. For some reason, the left makes it better.
Does it star? What's his face?
Daniel
Day.
My mom used to say that shit to me all the time. You know what? Oh, you blah, blah, my left foot. And so I don't know why. That's what comes out. Justice, my foot. It was a wacky slapstick martial arts movie of sorts. Had some. She was pretty martial artsy.
Fully pregnant.
Fully pregnant.
She did some of the best martial arts.
I will admit to you, first and foremost, hated the movie. I will admit to you there were several parts I did laugh out loud at, but overall, I did hate this movie. Mostly because I don't know what it is on these movies. Subtitles, I can barely keep up.
The subtitles are so fast.
I barely even know what the fuck happened in this movie because of how fast the subtitles were going.
And they're not great either.
No, they're not.
Like, sometimes the subtitles will say things like, quick, the cow is going, and they'll say, well, get 3 buckets, and you'll say, what is happening?
Why? What are we doing here?
You're not a good lawyer. Yes, master, but I am a citizen of the town. And you'll say, what is happening?
Why do I care about any of this dialogue? Yeah, so I got frustrated and hated it mostly for that reason. Some of the slapstick that happened was really zany and right up my alley, and I thought there was several parts that were just funny as shit, but I got so frustrated that I didn't know what the hell was going on that I overall gave it like a 2.5 because I just couldn't keep up.
That's pretty good. I gave it a 3, and I liked it.
I couldn't even keep up with it.
You
So
gave it a 3?
Yeah, it's a solid 3.
I'd say it's better than a 3.
It's a 3.1.
So that's in early 90s from that guy. Would I like any of his other stuff, like Shaolin Soccer and all those other ones you were telling me about? Or Journey to the West, okay. Maybe?
Journey to the West you'll like.
Okay.
And Kung Fu Hustle you'll like.
Okay.
Yeah, Journey to the West is a little less wacky. The problem with that film is the last quarter to a third is not as strong as the opening.
That's true.
Okay.
And so our critique was that as it gets towards the end, right at the end, it's not
just like this one too. In my opinion, that didn't have a very satisfying ending as well.
But Kung
to
Fu
me.
Hustle, I think, is his best.
See, the reason I give this a 3, I would give Journey to the West a 4, and I give Kung Fu Hustle a 5. You know,
okay.
And I mean,
so give this guy another chance, is what you're saying. I mean, this is early
I
90s.
The stuff he was saying in the early 90s was hilarious.
It was very funny.
My son will be born without a dick.
I know that whole thing, all of it. I was like, good Lord, man.
Yeah, there was like the pregnancy, the wife, the struggle with who's the power and like the hierarchy in the relationship, the gay men, all the lawyer stuff. I don't know, like I just felt like there was so much edgy stuff in there.
There was some edgy stuff in there for sure. Yeah,
it to be so edgy and
what is this 92, 93-ish? Yeah. So.
And we don't necessarily see a lot of Asian cultures represented in this way.
No, not
really. So I think that was partly fun to see.
Could you pinpoint, because it doesn't necessarily, at least I didn't notice, did you get a sense of what time period we were dealing with? All I could figure out is it was a period piece from a long time ago. I didn't know if it was 1800s, early 1900s.
I don't know enough about China.
Okay.
1800s.
That was my guess too, like maybe mid 1800s or so.
They clearly had a full awareness of logic and reasoning.
Sure.
I say that because
that wasn't invented until the 20th century.
No, I'm just
at least.
I meant that sarcastically because they were always just working around in circles and talking over and like making terrible points that people were like, "That's a good point," because they were just doing logic.
Almost too much. Yeah, almost too much logical.
Yeah, like in the opening sequence where the guy was bit by a dog and then he sicked his guy to bite him and the whole nonsense.
A lot of nonsense. That's I think opening with that particular idea or whatever that might have soured me from the start. So I'm like, all right. So I was already frustrated, and then the funniness started doing so. I never understood when they were doing that stuff up on going up the ladder. Was that like a ritual of some sort, I'm assuming?
Yes, he was making a promise never to be a lawyer again. And so...
Because all of his children died, like all 13.
All of them died, yes.
Because he did bad things. He was an immoral lawyer.
He was awful at it.
To secure...
No, he was so good he was unethical.
That's true.
He was unethical.
He was getting bad karma.
So, he had to put this promise, like... It's kind of cultural stuff that we don't understand, where they write their promise on a letter or whatever, and then they stick it on the temple.
Yeah.
And then if they ever were to break that and take it down, then that would like cause them to be cursed.
And it was important that it was public.
Okay.
That everyone else knew about it. So.
That's why he said, if I'm a lawyer again, my boy will be born without a dick.
Okay, that's what I thought I gathered, but since everybody was talking so fast, I think I might have missed that. So if I would have picked up on that, I might have not hated it as much. Right. But yeah, I'm like, why is he running around thinking his son's gonna be born without a dick? I don't get it.
Yeah,
it's funny, but I don't get it.
And his son was in fact born without a dick.
In the middle of like the big climax battle sequence, and she goes off to have a baby.
Right.
So ridiculous.
Overall, it wasn't terrible. I just couldn't keep up with it, and it frustrated me. So I was like, "Fuck this."
I thought it was a hoot. I had so much fun.
I did have fun with it. Well, I did understand what was going on.
And it's fine. I think the subtitles are too fast.
Very
times
fast.
They're very unclear as to what's happening.
Yeah. And it sucks when you get a sentence this long. You get 4 words into it, and it goes to the next one. I'm like, all right, well, I'm lost.
And that's because they're talking so fast in Chinese.
Sure.
Okay.
Luckily, though, we didn't have dub. I'm sorry, but I would much rather take Mandarin and then have them subtitles.
Agreed. Right. Bad dubbing will ruin a movie for me. So
absolutely. All right, so next week I'm assigning the homework.
Ooh.
So I was on some website and they were like, "Here's some 2015 horror films you haven't seen yet. Check them out." And I found one that is streaming on Netflix.
Sweet.
Creep. And it stars Mark Duplass.
Oh, nice. I like him. I've decided, I have made a decision. I like Mark Duplass ventures.
So the One I Love, right?
Yes.
One I Love was very good.
Okay, so that's the Mark Duplass. Okay.
Yeah, he's on the League.
Yes, he is. Isn't he kind of a piece of crap on the League?
Yeah. They're all kind of pieces
of
crap.
I think he's the worst one, though.
He's also on Mindy Project sometimes.
Yeah.
And he's in all the independent movies that get made.
All of them?
He is the independent movies.
He's either in it or producing it.
Yes,
that is absolutely true.
And he has a brother.
Okay, guys, so homework for next week is Creep on Netflix.
Okay.
That'll be it. So thank you so much for tuning in. And you can check in with us. We're on Facebook at Time Spent Poorly.
Yep. Facebook.com/Time Spent Poorly.
/Time Spent Poorly. Yeah, do that. Go like us and then send us many messages about movies that you've seen or that we should check out or whatever. And maybe we'll even chat with you.
We should probably do that.
Okay, we're also on YouTube and Stitcher and on timespentpoorly.com and Grindr.
Yes.
Okay.
Just got a new Tinder account too, so swipe us right or left or whatever the good one is. I don't even know. Bad joke.
Right. Sounds awesome. Okay, guys. Everybody out there, we will see you next week. Until then, have a wonderful movie night.
How are your ears?
What?
Are they doing okay? You've got a big, strong head. You should be fine.
My head can crush things.
You're the strongest
person
I know.